People can't stand to be powerless. Everyone wants power and is always trying to get more. Striving for and wielding power is a game everyone participates in, whether they want to or not. You're either a power player or a pawn someone else is playing with. In the 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene contends that since you can't opt out of the game of power, you're better off becoming a master player by learning the rules and strategies practiced since ancient times. He's codified 48 laws of power based on examples and writings going back 3,000 years of people who've excelled or failed at wielding power, with glorious or bloody results. Greene argues that following the 48 laws will generally increase your power, while failing to follow them will decrease it, or worse. He provides details on how to practice the laws, plus examples and analysis. Many of the laws originated or were exemplified in the aristocratic courts of old Europe, where a bevy of courtiers jockeyed for influence around a powerful person. There were clear principles and rules of conduct that everyone knew, but applying them was a high art at which only a few succeeded, and not always for long. Courtiers served the king while scheming to increase their power, defend it from others, and keep others from undermining or surpassing them. They appeared civilized and refined, but were ruthless and ambitious beneath the surface. At the same time, they had to be subtle. Courtiers sought power by sucking up to the king, but if they got too obvious about it, their peers, who had the same goal, would turn on them. Staying on top and increasing your power required strategy and tactics, but at the heart of the game lay an essential skill, deception, which was employed in myriad ways. Since then, the game of power hasn't changed much, although it's gotten a bit less bloody. More heads roll figuratively than literally. To practice deception effectively requires an understanding of human behavior, your own and others, the relentless study of the people around you, complete self-control, outward charm, adaptability, strategic thinking, and deviousness. Here, then, are the 48 laws in brief. Each is independent, so you don't need to follow them in sequence. Along with Greene's warning of the seductive quality of power, it can consume your mind, and you might never see human behavior the same way again. Short-form note: we've grouped the laws into categories to clarify themes and make them easier to remember. Adopt a power mindset. Key takeaways: be calculating and strategic, not emotional. Identify your goals and pursue them relentlessly. Best example: Chinese Emperor Sung converted an enemy into an ally. Sung invited the enemy, King Shu, to his palace, where Shu thought he would be punished. After wining and dining him, however, Sung sent Shu home with a package. When Shu opened it, he found evidence documenting his conspiracy against Sung. Law 2: be wary of friends, use enemies. Keep a close eye on your friends, they get envious and will undermine you. If you co-opt an enemy, he'll be more loyal than a friend because he'll try harder to prove himself worthy of your trust. Law 10: misery is contagious, avoid it like the plague. Avoid miserable people. The perpetually miserable spread misery like an infection, and they'll drown you in it. Law 19: know your victims. When attempting to deceive someone, know who you're dealing with, so you don't waste your time or stir up a hornet's nest in reaction. Law 23: focus your efforts. Focus your resources and energies where you'll have the most impact or get the most benefit. Otherwise, you'll waste limited time and energy. Law 29: plan through the end. Make detailed plans with a clear ending. Take into account all possible developments. Then don't be tempted from your path. Otherwise, you risk being surprised and forced to react without time to think. Law 35: get the timing right. Anticipate the ebb and flow of power. Recognize when the time is right, and align yourself with the right side. Be patient and wait for your moment. Bad timing ends careers and ambitions. Law 36: ignore small problems. Sometimes it's better to ignore things because reacting can make small problems worse, make you look bad, and give your enemy attention. Law 41: chart your own course. If you succeed a great leader or famous parent, find or create your own space to fill. Sharply separate from the past and set your own standards, or you'll be deemed a failure for not being a clone of your predecessor. Law 48: be elusive, be flexible, fluid, and unpredictable, formless, so your opponents can't get a fix on you and can't figure out how to respond. Key takeaways: show rather than tell. Attune yourself to others' emotions. Win the hearts of followers. Best example: When Michelangelo was carving the famous statue of David, the mayor of Florence took a look and told him the nose was too big. Instead of arguing, Michelangelo gestured for the mayor to follow him up the scaffolding, where the artist pretended to be changing the nose. When he was done, the mayor pronounced it perfect. But Michelangelo hadn't changed it, he just changed the mayor's vantage point to a new one, from which it looked fine. Law 4, say as little as possible, say little and be ambiguous, leaving the meaning to others to interpret. The less you say, the more intimidating and powerful you are. The law of power: ensure that those above you always feel superior. But don't overdo it when trying to impress or please them, or you'll inadvertently make them feel insecure and you'll suffer the backlash. Go out of your way to make your bosses look better and feel smarter than anyone else. Principles. When it comes to power, eclipsing the boss is a particularly dangerous mistake. People in power need to feel secure in their position, superior to others in intelligence and charisma, and deserving of their perks. When they feel insecure, they lash out. Whenever you demonstrate your talents, you provoke resentment and envy, manifestations of insecurity, in others, whether they're bosses, subordinates, or peers. Of course, you can't spend your life worrying about everyone's petty jealousies, but you need to pay special attention to your approach with superiors because of their greater ability to harm you. They can make heads roll, although not as literally as did kings of the past. The law of power: keep a close eye on your friends, they easily become envious and resentful, and will undermine you. In contrast, if you promote an enemy, he'll be more loyal than a friend in an effort to prove himself. So use your enemies. If you lack enemies, you should create some. We instinctively turn to friends when we need help, but you should think twice about doing this because you don't know your friends as well as you think you do. Friends often agree with whatever you say to avoid an argument. Also, when you're friends, you cover up negative qualities so as not to offend the other person. As a result, you never know for certain how a friend truly feels. When you're in a position of power, beware of hiring a friend. Hiring friends weakens you because your friend is rarely the one who can help you the most. You need skill and competence more than friendship. Also, friendly feelings can get in the way of what needs to be done. Always hide your true intentions. If you keep people off balance and in the dark, they can't counter your efforts. Send them down the wrong path with a red herring or create a smokescreen, and by the time they realize what you're up to, it will be too late for them to interfere. Sublaw: to deceive people about your real intentions, take preemptive action to mislead by using decoys and red herrings. Use tools such as fake sincerity, ambiguity, and lures, and people won't be able to differentiate the genuine from the false to see your goal. Many people wear their feelings on their sleeve. And when it comes to plans and intentions, they're quick to tell all at the slightest provocation. People tend to be open books because talking about feelings and intentions comes naturally. Watching your mouth, monitoring and controlling what you say, takes effort. In addition, they believe honesty and openness will win people over. The less you say, the more intimidating and powerful you are. When you do speak, make it vague and ambiguous, leaving the meaning to others to interpret. They'll be frustrated and obsessed with trying to figure you out. Principles. In the power game, appearance is everything. When you say little, you come across as powerful, intimidating, and mysterious. Keep these principles in mind. When you're silent, you make other people uncomfortable. Because they dislike uncertainty, people want to know what you're thinking. When you control your words, they can't figure out what you mean or intend. Short answers and silence make people feel defensive. They quickly try to fill the silence, and in the process reveal motivations and weaknesses, information you can use. Later they'll obsess over every word you said and its potential implications. The inordinate attention they give to your brief comments adds to your power. Reputation is integral to power. With a strong reputation, you can influence and intimidate others. Beware of attacks on your reputation and squelch them immediately. Meanwhile, undermine your opponent's reputations. Principles. You can never really understand another person. But to interact with others, we have to try, so we judge people by what we can see, their appearances. This includes style, words/gestures, and behavior. Your appearance is an integral part of your reputation. Reputation is something you need to carefully create and maintain. When you control how the world judges you, you have power. You can intimidate and influence others by reputation alone, which is why you must build and guard your reputation ferociously. When establishing your reputation, focus first on one memorable quality, for instance craftiness, effectiveness, or generosity. People should associate you with this trait and talk about you. You should demonstrate it to as many people as possible, so that your reputation spreads. The trait on which your reputation is based serves as a calling card, announcing your arrival and predisposing others to be influenced. The law of power: we judge everyone and everything by appearances. What we can't see doesn't count. Make sure you stand out from the crowd. Portray yourself as larger, more mysterious, and more exciting than anyone around you. Part 1: Be scandalous. Sublaw: attract attention by being controversial and outrageous. Welcome scandal. Don't differentiate between positive and negative attention, it all enhances your power. Principles. Attracting attention doesn't come naturally to many people. You have to learn how to do it. Start by associating your name and reputation with something that makes you stand out from others. It could be a clothing style, hairstyle, mannerism, or quirk that gets you noticed and talked about.